I met her daddy, a fine gentleman, Professor Harris. And the problem with her being black is Professor Harris says he's Caucasian, mixed Irish and Hindu. He doesn't have any black ancestors, but his Irish ancestors owned a lot of slaves in Jamaica.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Vice President Kamala Harris and now the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee and her ancestry. Is she black? Is she Indian? What's going on? Now, the reason why this is a conversation is because people, whoever they may be, the mainstream media, regular normies, they're saying that Kamala Harris has always identified as a black woman. But we have pictures, videos, evidence of all sorts that say that's not the case. At best, she is mixed black and Indian at best. At worst, she's probably about 75, 80% Indian. Now, first things first, let's get straight to some pictures, okay? You see Kamala on the far left-hand side with the red dot right on the forehead, okay? That's her. This is not a fake picture. This is her. I think that's her sister right there. Her sister, her blood sister, right? Same mom, same dad. And I'm not sure who the youngins are. And then this might be Mama, Paw. You see Mama with the red dot. They have on the garment called a sari. This is typical Indian attire, and they South Indian, like Mindy Kaling, okay? We'll get to Mindy Kaling a little bit later. But you could just say, oh, she's just dressing up. It's just an event. Okay, whatever. That's fine. All right. Now, this is Kamala Harris's mother, and then on the other side, her father. Now, we already saw, we know the mom is straight from the Indian subcontinent. We already know what time it is, okay? 100% Indian. Now, her father might be a little bit of a different story. Some say that he's Irish and Indian. Some say that he's Irish and black. Regardless of what's going on, you know that he's not 100% black, okay? Let's just take a moment. Look at me, right? Look at me in my face. Nobody's going to say, hey, ABL, are you mixed? Are you some kind of black or Indian? There's no racial ambiguity here, right? Now, when you come to this man, and we're going to see a couple more pictures, you're like, okay, what's going on? I'm kind of confused. What's happening here? Okay, now here are some more pictures of Kamala's people. I mean, you see what's going on. I think that's a young Kamala, maybe right there on the left. I don't really know. But we see the general thing that's going on. And here is another picture of her parents, a little bit closer. The mom, obviously, clearly Indian. Now, the dad, I don't know what's going on. I mean, to me, in my opinion, I'm thinking black and white biracial. So black and white biracial plus Indian, how does it get you a black woman? 25% at best, at the very best, 25% black. So how does that make you black? And if that's what you believe and you identify as black, then why do you say sometimes that you're Indian? Just pick one or say I'm both. If you say you're both and you're biracial, that's totally fine. But when you say you're Indian on Friday and then on Monday you say you're black, I'm just kind of confused. What's going on? Now, we have videos, we got evidence, we got all kind of stuff, okay? But first, let's take a look at the clip that kind of sparked all the controversy. This is Donald Trump at the National Association of Black Journalists event in Chicago, Illinois. And by the way, he was invited, so was Kamala, but only Trump showed up. But Trump's the racist and Kamala's this strong black independent woman, all this, that, and the third. It's kind of weird, but let's watch this. Then we're going to keep on going and see something from Judge Joe Brown, in which he gives more context from his point of view. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Follow up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here. Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
Now, before he gets into his answer, Joe Biden himself said, or he responded to those who were asking him, demanding him to select a black vice president. That was the whole thing. Got to find a black vice president, Okay, Kamala, you identify as black. You may appear to be black to some people. You'll do. Come on. Same thing with the Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. I'm going to appoint a black woman to the Supreme Court, and that's what he did. So when we're talking about DEI hire, affirmative action, things of this nature, when the employer says, I'm going to hire you because you're black, what do you call that? I don't really know, but let's let Trump answer the question.
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a definition.
Now, DEI is an acronym, diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's what it stands for. But define it. What is it in theory when you are using it in real world and everyday practice? What does that actually mean? That's what he was asking for. All she did was just unfold the acronym, which is not the actual question.
Definition, then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question,
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me, if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black woman.
I
She went to a
respect
historically
either
black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
And
you
I
believe
think,
that
I think
she is
somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
Now, let's pause for a minute. I think she said, and if I'm wrong, y'all correct me. I think she said that first, Kamala always identified as a black woman. Second, that she went to a black college. What does that mean? I don't know if you guys know or if she knows, but you don't have to be black to go to an HBCU. What does HBCU stand for? Let's unfold that acronym. Historically Black Colleges and Universities. Historically, that's all that it means. So, a little bit of lesson for you guys who are not American, or you may not know, you might be a young person. Back in the day in this country, we had legal segregation. Blacks over here, whites over here. As a black person, you could not go to white schools for the most part. So we had black schools, and these have been around for 100 years, 150 years. Like the 1800s, it started, and they're still here. So if you have 100 years of all black students, and then integration comes along, segregation is over with, do you just all of a sudden become some kind of diverse utopia, 30% black, 30% white, 30% Hispanic, 10% other? No, you're going to pretty much stay the way you've been. And the same thing goes for what we call PWIs. To unfold that, that's predominantly white institutions. You do have some colleges that are 95, 90, 100% almost white. Same thing as black. That's just the nature of this country. But you don't have to be black to go to a mostly black school or white to go to a mostly white school. Okay, but let's continue. We have more here. Now we have Judge Joe Brown laying down the hammer. This is part of a larger interview, and shout out to the Art of the Dialogue. Y'all go check them out for the full thing. But let's go ahead and roll this.
And then she was everybody's favorite Hindu Indian prosecutor and attorney general and senator, and now she becomes black. But, you know, I met her daddy, fine gentleman, Professor Harris. And the problem with her being black is Professor Harris says he's Caucasian, mixed Irish and Hindu. He doesn't have any black ancestors, but his Irish ancestors owned a lot of slaves in Jamaica and had them to work on plantation. So if mama is on the birth certificate listed as a Caucasian, daddy says he's a Caucasian Hindu and has no black ancestors, how did she get to be black?
That's a great question. That's a great question. If what he's saying is true, it's a great question. And even if what I thought that he's 50% black, 50% white, even if that's the case, how do you get 50% black, 50% white, 100% Indian and result in the black woman? How does that make any sense? At best, biracial. You could say you're both. That's fine. You could say that you're multiracial. That's fine. But then again, if you pick one day and the other day, I'm kind of confused.
And by the way, she told one big lie when she was talking about she got bust because of something Biden did when she was running against him. Well, the yearbook that she put out there that you can still get online from her high school in Canada shows she went from kindergarten through 12th grade in Canada, never went to school in the United States of America. She was born, by the way, in the same hospital that my ex-wife was born in, the same 12-month period, and my late mother-in-law was in fact a pediatric nurse in that hospital when Kamala was born. And the birth certificate that she has is interesting because the confusion comes from a mistake. On the birth certificate, it lists the mother's race as Caucasian, national origin India, and religion Hindu. For the father, it does not list national origin. It does not list religion. It does not list anything about that, but where it says race, they put national origin in Jamaica by mistake.
Now, if you don't want to take Judge Joe Brown's word for it, if you don't want to take my word for it, if you don't want to take Trump's word for it, how about let's hear from Kamala herself?
Okay, so what we're going to cook today is an Indian recipe.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you are Indian.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and I don't know that everybody knows that, but I find that wherever I go and I see Indian people at the supermarket, on the street, everyone's like, you know, Kamala Harris is Indian, right? It's like the thing we're so excited about to have you running for president.
Yeah.
So we're both Indian,
Yes.
but actually we're both South Indian.
Yes. You look like the entire one half of my family.
Okay, thank you.
You do.
I've been telling people
You
we're
do.
related already,
Yeah.
so this is perfect. It's basically true.
So you heard right there, she says, you look like the entire one half of my family. So to make it be known that I'm Indian, and again, that's fine. But when you're right here, Mindy Kaling talking about I'm Indian, and then when you go among the blacks, you go to Atlanta and say I'm black, I don't understand what's really going on. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to Kamala. You're biracial, and that's totally fine. You're multiracial, that's totally fine. But I say, let's just be clear about that. Just be clear about that. Because the whole thing, you're playing on the race thing. I'm a black woman, I'm this, I'm that. And then people are talking about it as well. The lady from the NABJ told her straight up lie, talking about she always identified as a black woman. But then the first lady said that she's black and Asian. So it's just kind of confusing. Whatever you are, just be that, rather than sending mixed messages and confusing signals that are difficult to decipher. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on Kamala Harris's ancestry? Does it matter? Does it not matter? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I don't really care that much about what nationality someone is. Okay, it's not really that big of a deal. But what I don't like is the lying and the gaslighting and acting like she didn't say what she said. When Trump said that she always identified as Indian and they're trying to call him a racist, how can they do that when there's video evidence of her saying that she's Indian, where there's documentation? And that's not the only video. She's been saying it over and over again. I'm going to be the first Indian American senator. I'm going to be the first Indian American this. But then when it comes time to become the vice president, when they need a black woman to fill that role, all of a sudden, now I'm black. So I don't like that dipping in and out of your ancestry. I can't do that. Okay. I have an Irish great-great-grandpappy too. 100% straight up white man. But what am I going to do? Go in some room and say, you know what? I'm a white guy. Well, okay, ABO, you're a white guy, whatever. I'm black and that's it. Whatever identifies is whatever identifies all the time. I'm not going to just pick and choose whenever it's politically expedient. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.